Hello, welcome to the Thinking Marketing Podcast, where we dive deep with cutting-edge marketers. Today, I'm joined by Scott van der Berg. Scott is founder and managing partner at Influencer Capital, which is an alternative investment fund that invests in brand and technologies using media. And what's meant by this, you might ask? Influencer Capital is working on a model called Media for Equity, which means that celebrities, influencers, creators get equity instead of cash as they promote brands and businesses. This is a really interesting and potentially valuable model for brands and startups that looks to deepen the collaborations with influencers and creators in order to align incentives and work together through time. Scott is, of course, an expert in this field. He's setting up deals of 500,000 euros and upwards, and he can really explain how this model works, who's it for, and how you should use it. For those who doesn't know what it is, can you explain the Media for Equity model?
Sure, yeah. The Media for Equity model is an alternative investment model that provides startups with media inventory, such as like TV, print, and radio in exchange for equity. It's already a model that exists for like 20 years, and it has worked really well for startups, because normally they don't have the marketing budgets to use like marketing channels such as like media and TV. But now by this model, they can, and they can really scale fast. So companies like Zalando, About You, Pinterest have used such a media investment to scale in the beginning days. But what we saw is that the next generation of consumers not necessarily spending so much time consuming the traditional media channels anymore, but rather they spend about 5 hours per day on this device. And they learn about new products and services via influencers. So that was when we were like, hey, can we not give that Media for Equity model a new spin by basically investing with influencer marketing services?
So the upside for the startups is that they get access to celebrities or influencers that they wouldn't have had the capital to work with otherwise.
Yeah, so what I always say is that there are three types of upsides. So one is indeed that it allows startups to partner up with the web's most recognizable faces and put their startup in front of millions of consumers without spending a single dollar. So often startups don't have the budgets to work together with that type of influential people. But via this model, they can, and they can really scale fast. It also allows them, secondly, to build authentic relationships with the influencers and aligned incentives. Whereas normally, if you reach out to an influencer and you offer them $10,000 in cash, then the influencer will still consider it, even though they don't even 100% believe in your company. With an equity deal, these influencers will only see a return if the company does well. So it really makes them question themselves as, hey, do I even believe in this company in the first place? Because otherwise, doing an equity deal doesn't make any sense. So it means that if these influencers are interested in doing an equity deal with you, that they truly believe in your company, and that just creates a much more authentic relationships because the incentives are aligned. And then lastly, it also allows startups to get like a celebrity-backed status, which helps them with credibility, it helps them with PR, it helps them with fundraising, which you can really say that you're backed by celebrities. And it can also potentially help you with partnerships. So let's say you're a drink company or a food company and you want to get into the supermarkets, then you can actually approach these supermarkets and say, hey, we have these celebrities backing us that will say our product is now available at Walmart, for example. So that will drive traction to the Walmart. So that's another added benefit that such an investment will give to startups.
I really like that concept of getting the celebrities or influencers to put skin in the game, because I think everyone is so fed up with just, partnerships that are so obviously just a pay for share or something like that. So this kind of takes care of that, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think that aligned incentives are everything. And you'll be surprised how successful companies can be if the incentives are truly aligned.
So are there any specific kinds of startup that you see can benefit particularly from these kind of media for equity deals?
Consumer startups, so not necessarily B2B, because that's obviously a lot harder to promote. We also say that we like to invest in Instagrammable products because influencers like to attach themselves to such names. What we see is that it works best for startups that have a high customer acquisition cost. And especially nowadays, that is interesting because in the past, the customer acquisition cost was financed by VCs under the ethos of grow it at all costs. But these VCs were just basically deploying millions into startups, and the startups were able to have very high customer acquisition costs in order to get market share, etc. But now, obviously, we're in an economic downturn, and these VCs are keeping their money in their pockets, or they're saying we're going to invest in profitable companies only. So now a lot of these consumer startups, they don't have the marketing, but just to keep on investing in the customer acquisition cost. But by doing, for them, it's especially interesting now to do like a media for equity investment with us or with any other media for equity fund, because it allows them to keep on growing and keep on scaling.
Cool. And what would you say are the keys to create a successful partnership like this?
Well, I think it's just important that from day one, you're really clear your communication, what you expect from each other. So a lot of startups, they expect if they give a 0.2% equity stake to an influencer, that this influencer will promote the brand forever. Well, obviously that's not the case. So it's just really important to make sure that it's very transparent what both parties expect and what both parties will get in return. So what you see nowadays is that a lot of startups and they don't speak the same language as the influencer, and also the other way around. So the influencer has no idea how to value the startup and what type of startups are good. So if you now reach out to the influencer and you ask them what type of equity deal would you like to do, they say like, oh, I would love to have equity in a fashion company or a drink company. And I'm like, well, but there are already tens of thousands of other companies doing this. So it would be much better if you maybe focus on a tech company or some company that really has something different. And then on the other end, these startups have no idea how to value influencers and how to talk to them. So that's why organizations like myself exist to really bridge that gap.
Okay, so when you work with a startup and you try to find them the perfect influencers to work with on these kind of media for equity deals, what are you looking for from the company's perspective?
Yeah, just a really clear kind of proposal. So what are they expecting from the influencers? So how we typically invest is very similar to like a normal investment with cash. So we always bring it back to like a dollar value. Dollar value meaning the media value. So let's say the influencer, they normally charge $5,000 on average for a post. And let's say we ask our influencer to do 20 posts. And the media value that the influencer is providing is 20 posts times 5K per post is 100K. And then let's say the valuation of a company is 10 million. And that means that influencer is basically investing like 100K to 10 million valuation, which means that he or she will receive a 1% equity stake. So that's how we translate it. And it's just really important from the startup side that we have to understand what are they expecting, how much money, how much media do they want to raise, from what type of influencers, are they looking for male, females, are they looking for a specific demographic, specific location, because that enables us to come back with suggestions.
And now you're talking about posting and like kind of buying the celebrity's reach or social media, but is it also about you being able to put the celebrity's name on your website, use it in other channels, etc.?
Exactly. So it really helps you to get the celebrity back status. And we don't even value that because it's very, very hard to say, okay, that's worth 2K or whatever, or 100K. So that is an added benefit a startup get besides the marketing inventory. So they can really say that they're backed by these celebrities, which helps them with PR, because sharp journalists love to cover news about celebrities. It helps them with future fundraising. It's similar to like now talking to startups. When they see that Y Combinator backed you or Sequoia backed you, then all the other investors are like, oh, wow, I also have to invest in this company. So it creates a little bit of FOMO.
Yeah, I see. So you buy the media for equity based on post, like price, etc. So say that you're a startup, you have bought, you partner with an influencer for 20 posts. Those 20 posts happen through, I don't know, half a year. And then after half a year, the startup has grown and is actually getting some traction, etc. The celebrity still owns 2% of the startup. How do you then how do you continue with the collaboration? Is it usually the celebrity see the value and keep on posting about it because, okay, it will generate even more traction for their equity? Or do you usually then strike a new equity deal? Or do you have an experience in how that works?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So it works similar to like a normal investment fund. Let's say they first invested 100K and they now want to do a follow-on investment because the startup is really good. Then they can now do a longer deal, or they invest like $500,000 now in the startup. So we can do something similar. So we, for example, first do an equity deal for 1 year, but after a year we can reflect, see, hey, this partnership really worked well. Let's actually continue this partnership for the upcoming 4 years and talk about a new equity deal. And if that's not the case, then obviously we still try to support the startup, but not in the like capacity that we were doing before. So we're not going to promote the company like 20 times a year anymore. Because this is similar with an investor. If they keep on giving money, they expect something in return as well.
Understand. Do you have an example of a media for equity collaboration that has worked out really well?
Yeah, many. So I was hoping already on this question because I have an example here. But this is a Swiss footwear brand called On Running. They wanted to have Roger Federer as an ambassador of the brand, and they offered him cash. But Roger Federer believed so much in the company, so he received a 3% equity stake and has been helping the team of On Running with like product development, fan experiences, and marketing. And Roger Federer's equity stake is currently valued at $300 million. So yeah, like this is the Roger also you see like here,
Wow.
really developed. So I think this is a really cool example. And there are like many more examples like this.
That's amazing. And for this example, what stage was the startup in when they approached Roger?
So this was already a later stage they started. So they already did like a lot of revenue. They were getting ready to make an IPO. So they wanted to get public, but I just wanted that last little push from Roger Federer. So they're able to get like an more valuable IPO.
And if you are, say, like a starting level startup or maybe, seed, Series A, somewhere around there, how do you then get the influencers that you want on board on your project?
Yeah, so and like I'll come back to storytelling, right? When you're very early stage, the influencer is not going to be excited if you tell, oh, we have $8,000 in revenue this month. So you have to really tell them about the vision of the company, and we are like I pride myself on being good in sharing the vision of these companies and explaining the influencer that I have in my pool, telling them about what the potential are if this is going to be successful. You're more selling the vision to what you're selling actually and doing today.
When you decide on the percentages that the influencer will get, is it always based on this cost per post or cost per similar collaborations model? Is that like the go-to model for structuring these deals?
Yeah, so unfortunately, there's no one size fits all. Every deal is a little bit different because every startup requires something different from the influencers. Some just want them to post on Instagram. Some want them also to be on investor calls. Some want them to create a product together. So there's no really one size fits all. But what we typically do is we just list the services that the influencer has to do, and we put a dollar value on that. So that's how the total equity percentage is going to be decided.
So these media for equity deals, it's quite easy to see how it's very beneficial for startups. What would you say are the main upsides for the influencers versus just getting the cash straight away in their pocket?
Yeah, sure. So doing like an equity deal with a startup allows these influential people to earn equity in the companies they all grow and basically participate in the upside, typically reserved for like founders, investors, and employees. Equity is a great way for them to diversify their business model. So they can still do 95% of the deals in cash, but it's already good to establish future income streams, because you never know for how long an influencer is going to be relevant. Maybe TikTok get banned. Maybe they do something stupid online and they get canceled on Instagram. Maybe they are older and don't want to be in front of the camera all the time. So by doing an equity deal, it allows them to build future income streams. And obviously the value of equity can exponentially increase in value.
That's a really good point, I think. I didn't really think about that, like in how the influencer game is kind of for the day, unless you invest or get involved in these kind of businesses. Do you often see the influencer also getting involved in like product development and stuff like that? Or are they more like passive, focusing on the content, the sharing, the promotion, etc.?
Yeah, so actually I was yesterday on a call with a big influencer and it started, and he immediately went into like advising role. So it was just getting to know call, see if there's a match. And he was immediately sharing ideas about, oh, but what if you do this? Or what if you develop this feature? So you see that these influencers, they're naturally very creative and they love to think about how to improve the product. Eventually they're also shareholders, right? So it's also in their best interest to help the company grow. So they might not continuously promote it on the company, but if they can help with introductions, with advising, with input, then obviously that's in their best interest to do so.
And I also guess it's like a very good way to the understanding of the audience through the influencer because they are like really leading. So it's like getting a super customer insight in some way, I guess.
Yeah. So as a startup, you're obviously trying to build relationship with customers, but you have to start at day one with 0 customers. An influencer often already has relationships with millions of followers, so they can drive near instant traction to your company because they already have these established relationships. So if you want, for example, to get product input, you can, for example, let this influencer run a poll. Say, hey, which flavor would you like more, or what do you think about this product? So you can actually use their relationship that they have built for your startup.
You are running Influencer Capital. What do you do in the process? I see that you do introductions, you help sourcing influencers and companies for the different sides. What else do you provide?
Yeah, so let me also actually share our business model and how we work. So we are structured as a deal-by-deal fund, meaning per deal we onboard different type of influencers because sometimes we work with a fintech company, sometimes we work with a makeup brand, then obviously it's a completely different group of influencers. And our business model is completely similar to like an investment fund. So we earn carried interest over the deal. So let's say we do a 1 million media investment, and in 10 years' time, our equity stake gets sold for 20 million. Then I receive a certain percentage of the 20 million before the rest is distributed to the startup. That makes sure that my incentives are also completely aligned with the influencer and the startup. Meaning, if the startup is not successful, the influencer won't make any money, I won't make any money. So it really incentivizes me, one, to search for the best companies and only bring the best companies forward. So really perform due diligence, talk to as many startups as possible. But two, we help those portfolio companies grow. So if I can help with internationalization, with fundraising, then obviously it's in my best interest to do so. Basically how the whole process works is I get in touch with the startup, I run by due diligence, together we work on a kind of proposal that they want to put forward to the influencer. Based on that proposal, I look at my network of influencers to see who fit. I come back to the startup with a couple of suggestions. We go back and forth until we identify the perfect candidates, and we start to engage. And then we basically onboard and work together with structuring the whole deal. That will be done completely by Influencer Capital. And then during the process, I help facilitate the deal, make sure everything runs smoothly. And then also after the deal, I'm there to help.
All right. And in facilitating these deals, is the legal side of things complex or?
It's very complex. And we spend about spend 1.5 years to develop the right setup for us. But again, there's no one size fits all. So every deal is a little bit different. Our goal is to create a safe note similar to Y Combinator did for early stage startups, but then for these type of media for equity deals, with celebrities. So that is really our goal, to make it easier for everyone in the industry to do these types of deals.
Understand. So startups that want to work with you first also have to convince you that they are a good startup and a good investment.
Exactly, because I only earn money if the startup is eventually successful. And so, I will only search for companies that I truly believe in.
Damn. I really like this model. I must say, I think it's very cool, actually.
I think so too, but I'm a bit biased.
Of course. But are there any, did you come up with this model yourself for the whole, fund part, or are there others doing this as well?
Until so far I've seen, there's not really one dedicated organization that really provides these types of equity deals for both sides. There are officially talent agencies who represent talents, and they are only doing this for the influencer side. I think we are one of the only organizations that is really actively searching for startups and actively building our network of influencers that are interested in these types of deals. So what we also say is that currently the top 1.0%, 0.1% has access to these type of equity deals. And we really want to open up the market of equity deals to the 99.9% influencers that currently don't have access to it.
And do you have a lower level cap of the deals that you're doing?
Yeah, not necessarily. That's also the great thing about us as a fund is that we are stage and sector agnostic. So we can invest 100K, but we can also invest 10 million in media. Whereas other funds, they're always limited by their fund size. We are a lot more flexible, but I do have to say that we're currently focusing on deals between like 500K in media and 1 million, because then it really becomes interesting for us, because it's the same amount of work that I'm doing on a 1 million deal versus like a 100K deal. Whereas the potential payout is from the start already 10 times as high. So usually I like to dedicate my time to like the larger ones.
Okay. So, I mean, from 500K and upwards, then it's pretty big names that you're working with, right?
Well, next, what we are also doing often is that we invest with groups of influencers. So instead of just doing one deal with one influencer, we, for example, onboard 10 influencers that all provides 50K in media. And then together it's a 500K ticket. But now as a startup, you don't have one ambassador, you have 10 investors. And you can say, hey, these 10 celebrities invested in my company. Well, obviously that is super cool also to promote. So it really depends on what the startup wants themselves. Do they really want 10 influencers, a little bit smaller one? They just want one big name. Yeah, that really depends on the startup.
I really like that as well. That it also becomes like a pool of content creator, I assume, that can create like a more varied catalog of content for you to use.
Exactly. And there's some deeper thoughts regarding this because, like, as I said, equity deals are not new. A lot of startups already have been doing this. But the dangerous thing is that really a lot of startups are really building their brand on the back of someone else's brand. And it really makes them known as the company of influencer X. Or drink company is now known as, that's the company of the drink company of influencer X instead of the brand name. And that can also cause problems later on if you want to sell your company. Because let's say you're the drink of influencer X, new shareholders are not going to acquisition that company if that influencer is not involved anymore. Because our consumers still so interested in Prime if Logan Paul and KSI are not involved anymore. So these companies are going to have a very hard time to exit. And also what you see if that influencer person does something stupid online, that can lead to a lot of brand damages to you as a brand. Think recently of GC with Kanye West. Adidas is now losing $2 billion in revenue and had to throw away $1 billion in shoes. So that's why we often say, don't build your brand on one persona, but actually try to collect a pool of 5 or 10 content creators who can actually push you out to their audience.
Yeah. And I think it's also about the authenticity that we talked about before. If you have 10, 15 names that you see using or promoting the product, it becomes more of a halo effect. This is like something that's in the culture and just not just one person who's been paid to do this, right?
Exactly. It's all about touch points. So as a brand, you're able to get much more touch point with your consumer because the consumer will see that influencer 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So instead of just like they will see that one person.
Do you have any trends that you're seeing in the influencer marketing space right now? Anything that you see coming in the future? Are things changing in some way? What do brands need to look out for?
Yeah, what you really see a lot nowadays is that influencers are starting their own brands. And this also comes because of success stories of a Roger Federer, of a Ryan Reynolds that sold like a couple of companies after doing like a media marketing deal. So a lot of other celebrities and influencers, they think also that they have to start a company. And so I think a lot of them are going to start their own companies. I think a lot of them are going to focus on these type of equity deals because they see that the big money is in these types of business deals.
Do you think when a lot of influencers, celebrities are doing this, will that water out the power of the celebrity brand?
It all goes back to the type of companies that they're building. So currently everyone comes out with a makeup brand and like a drink company. Like all the products are not really like distinguishing. And that's why I think that the media for equity model is much more interesting because you have great entrepreneurs that come up with something new. And why not just partner them with a celebrity? Because that celebrity don't have to start something completely from zero. And they can actually use the genius entrepreneurs to come back with research and development and really build groundbreaking products and services.
And what you talked about before, it's like building products. I mean, if you just slap your face on a random energy drink, it will maybe not work in 5 years from now because a lot of people have done it, or it will work because it always works. But what you talked about, like Roger Federer developing a tennis shoe, like probably no one in the world understands as much about playing tennis well as Roger Federer. So if he can give input on a shoe, it's probably valuable for the end consumer as well, right?
Yeah, and this is the whole thing. So one of the most successful media package deals was Michael Jordan. This is with Nike. and developed his own shoe. And yeah, indeed, who better to ask to design a basketball shoe than Michael Jordan himself?
Potentially that shoe also helped him propel his career. So it was like a win-win in all ways.
Yeah, so that's why I think that these brands obviously need to find a product that fit them. And this is actually where a lot of celebrities actually missed the boat as well. So recently, Jennifer Lopez and Blake Lively, both celebrities and actresses and singers, both don't drink alcohol. And they constantly promote on social media, I don't drink alcohol because I don't like the effect on my body. Jennifer Lopez, she actually has a husband, Ben Affleck, who's in recovery and has been to recovery multiple times because of alcohol addiction. And they recently both pushed out an alcoholic brand. And a lot of like their fans were like, this doesn't make any sense. How can you actually test the product if you don't drink alcohol yourself? This is just a money grab. I don't know if like these people say. So yeah, it really needs to be an authentic match as well. Something that what I always say is that celebrity market fit, similar to like a product market fit for startups.
Yeah, I didn't know about that Jennifer Lopez thing, but that sounds like a very bad celebrity brand management.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially because herself and also her husband. So it doesn't make sense for me at all. But yeah.
How can that even happen?
Yeah, like I don't know what the management was thinking of Jennifer Lopez, but yeah, at the same time, alcohol for them is probably a very interesting opportunity to just make like a lot of millions quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes, and you as a marketer knows this best, is that negative publicity is also publicity.
True that. I hadn't thought about this, like really developing product and brand with celebrities, how important and powerful that can be versus just focusing on the media, which of course is super important as well. But if you can add this part, it becomes like a really good fit, I assume. All right, that was it for today's episode. I hope you got a better understanding for the media for equity model. I think it's a really interesting model because I think we see a lot of partnerships now that seem inauthentic, that fails, etc., like we talked about in the episode. I think this is a way to really build something authentic, build a community, and all those things that you want when you're working with a celebrity or influencer. If you like the conversation today, make sure to follow my newsletter on thinkingmarketing.io, as well as me on social media channels. Also give Scott a follow, and if you're interested in learning more about the media for equity model, or even setting one up for your own business or startup, make sure to reach out to him. And that's it for today. Have a great day.